Okay. So a lot of things have been said, and I think the thanks are very important for everyone. And for me personally, the thanks are, having the trust and the idea that we're going to put this crazy thing together, and the blood, sweat, and tears of everybody to push on it was great. So the hall means, I think it's when you have something successful, it means something to everybody. And we're actually going to get everybody who would like to come up and say a couple things about what the hall meant to them, and their opportunity to talk about it themselves. So I'm going to start that with for myself. And so as you guys heard, so this was to me it was very important, and Del said it really well, it's very important that you're the guy who comes out and says, and just does stuff, instead of talks about what they're going to do. And we didn't make a big deal about what we're doing, we just went out and did stuff. And that's what Craig and Ross and the whole team, and the management team here, because you want to be the guy who's the guy who does something, not the guy who talks about what they're going to do. The other piece was really important, and for me personally especially, so one of the things, so I live in Baltimore, and I'm still a tourist in San Francisco, regardless of how much time we spend out here. And what's really important about this place was I really enjoy the idea of genuinely meeting new people and genuinely spending time with people that you don't really know too much about. So for the last 3 years, I would come here every trip to San Francisco, and it was just a wonderful experience, whether it's talking to Colleen or Jay or whoever, and or Margaret who's in the audience, or sitting down and talking to people, because for me this was my version of not just the consumer engagement or community engagement for what is it we do, but to actually talk to people and say, well, what do you think about this neighborhood? Would you come back? Del said something very, very important, because it was really important to us too that we recognize one of the jobs we do, and Craig said this, as a built environment person, is you have this opportunity to change people's mindset and behavior, and really their mindset about a place, right? So by creating something here that is both familiar and maybe not so familiar, we're creating a place that people want to come to. It was very important to us, and continues to be very important to us, that when we build in a neighborhood, that we're not just building to bring people to the neighborhood, but we're building for everybody in the neighborhood. So the number of events that Alana is running here is very genuine and important to us, because we don't want to be just tourists forever. 14,000 people for Del. We think we probably had 4,000 people a week come here. So imagine over 30 months or 36 months, how many people maybe changed their attitude about what it was like to be here. And one of the things that I like to think about, as an old geezer, is this idea that I believe, and this is kind of a funny thing, people are moving back to the cities is what they say, but not really. Most people never lived in cities. So part of our job as people who really spend a lot of time in cities is to get people comfortable, and frankly, in some way, teach people how to live in the city, and recognize that there's people who don't look like you in that city with different backgrounds, but it's all part of the milieu of what makes a city exciting and fun. So to me, it's very heartfelt. Thank you very much for everything, for being able to engage and spend time, and maybe become a little bit more of a local here, but also recognizing that sometimes celebrate the outsider, because we saw things here that nobody else saw. And candidly, when we bought this building, I bought the WeWork building as well. The building had sat for 15 or 20 years, and I had friends in San Francisco, and they would literally say, I got a bridge to sell you, because nobody goes to the Tenderloin, nobody buys the Tenderloin. 20, 30 years, nothing happened there. But it did when we started doing it. So we did the WeWork building, we did this building, the building across the street happened. Everybody who came, every place that opened in this neighborhood, the Chai Bar, whatever, everyone came here first. And they wanted to see that you guys, that the customers were here to support businesses along Market Street at 6th and Market. They really wanted to see that. And by demonstrating that with your all's wallets and your feet, and with what we were doing and what Craig and the team dedicated to, you've really helped bring so many people to this neighborhood that would have never come here maybe. So I love it. I'm really appreciative of what we did. And I've been telling the team we're working on our Zen Buddhist concept of non-attachment. So as sad as we are that this thing is moving, we know the world moves constantly, and we move from place to place and thing to thing. So demonstrating non-attachment and impermanence, this will morph into something else, and hopefully we'll all be able to. The most important thing is maintain attachments within our community, not the spaces and stuff. So thank you very much for everybody coming.